Oops. It's you. I didn't expect you so soon. Hello, everyone. Let me put my phone down here and stop getting distracted. Hello and welcome to Hate Live for November. I don't even know what today is. For November 6, 2014. Welcome to Hate Live. Charge my phone here on the side. And welcome to the very first Hate Live podcast of November and the very last Hate Live podcast of November, ladies and gentlemen, because November is going to be such a busy gaming month for us that we are actually not going to have time to do another Hate Live. I already explained this on the last Hate Live, but I will reiterate that to you. But anyway, this is my natural hair, just so you guys know it. When I don't wet down the hair, this is actually what my hair looks like now that it's long. And I decided tonight to not do anything with it, to not wet it or put product in it, but to just leave it as is. And I'm probably regretting it now because already I can feel the hair kind of curling up on my forehead. It's bothering the hell out of me, and it's probably going to go all wild during the course of the podcast. But anyway, welcome to Hate Live. Thanks for being here. We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got lots of stuff to talk about, including gaming news. I'm going to do a little mini recap of the stuff I've been working on this week, including my first impressions of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. We're going to be talking about what's coming up in the next few days, next week in particular, when tons of games are coming out, and I need to explain to you how I'm going to be handling those new releases so you know exactly what to expect and when, rather than saying, gee, I wonder if it will play this or play this, and when he's playing this. I want you to be in the know on everything that's going on, okay? In addition to that, we got some gaming news. There's two big stories this week that are affecting gamers that I think that everyone's going to want to talk about. One's kind of a hot, new, positive announcement about the re-release of Grand Theft Auto 5, while the other one is kind of a really negative thing regarding the internet. We're going to have a break, and we're going to have Back in the Day, part 2 from last week, actually coming right over and continuing from last week when we talked about advertising in the 1980s and 90s. We talked about all kinds of stuff, different board games, different wild food items, gum, stuff like that, and how crazy that it was. I got even more for you this week. In fact, I just kind of scratched the surface last week. Over the past week, I started thinking about all these things in my head, and I was like, damn, advertisement really has changed since the 80s when they used to do all these different things. Now, today they say, oh, you can't do that in a kid's ad. So we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff today, okay? So I think it's going to be a good show. And I just want to warn everyone, if you're watching this on stream on Twitch TV, my internet has been having problems. It's not so bad that I can't upload videos, but it's been flaky, and for live streaming, the internet has kind of been wonky. I'm really hoping we don't have any problems tonight, but I just want to forewarn you, if the stream starts getting choppy, I am recording this. This will be uploaded to my YouTube channel, The King of Hate Vlogs. Those of you watching on YouTube already know that, because that's where you're watching it. Durr. So, FYI, just want to toss that out there, okay? Before we get started, I do want to say, unfortunately, I couldn't make it happen. I know a couple weeks ago I mentioned I wanted to have a special guest here on Hate Live tonight, and I did as much as I could, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And some people are all speculation, who was it, who was it? Well, there actually were a few candidates. I couldn't really get anyone to show up, but the first person who I was interested in was actually John Rambo. He's so freaking busy, seriously. Like, every time I talk to him now, he's like, my God, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. He didn't even do his own podcast this week, which I didn't even realize. He didn't even do his own podcast this week because he's been so busy, and he was unavailable to come on the show. I don't know if he's going to ask me to be on his show around Thanksgiving like he usually does. I don't even know if he's doing his show around Thanksgiving because the guy's so busy. So I will let you guys know if and when I can ever get John Rambo or another guest here on Hate Live. But it didn't come together this time. We'll try it again. All right, and we'll see what happens. And now I will drink from my insanely large bottle of water. Okay. So, let's get started. Let's start talking about a bunch of stuff that's been going on. Obviously, the first thing I want to talk about is what I just mentioned to you guys, my internet issues. Because it is annoying, and it affects things, and it screws with schedules, and it makes people disappointed. This week in particular, I'll be honest, my internet really screwed me when it came to live streaming, and I want to explain what's going on. I want to explain what steps I can take to try to fix the issue going forward. When I lived in Connecticut, over 4 months ago now, for the years that I lived there, I had intermittent internet issues. There were days when the internet wouldn't work at all. There were days when I could not upload videos to YouTube. Traditionally, it wasn't a huge deal because the most the internet would be out is like a day. So the next day comes, okay, upload the videos, and I'm good to go. But ever since I started live streaming, I was challenged with a whole unique set of problems and issues when it comes to internet quality. To live stream at good quality, you need to have great internet. And in Connecticut, I just had flaky internet that was not consistent. And so when I moved out here to Washington several months ago, I decided, listen, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to go and get the best internet available with where I am. Now, unfortunately, if I lived in the university part of Seattle, which I don't, I'm not a college student, but if I lived there, they actually have fiber optic internet over there in the university area of Seattle. The problem is, it's very expensive to live there. I wouldn't want to live there with a bunch of college kids anyway. I would like a more residential home like this one is. So I had to go with what's available in and around Seattle. And what's available out here is Comcast internet. And Comcast actually has different levels of product. I got their highest level, which is their business level, highest speed internet possible that you can get. I got a special modem for it. Guys came in and had to install it special because they said it takes up so much of the bandwidth in the line that you can't have certain things. I couldn't even have the phone hooked into the same line as my modem right now because they said it would take too much bandwidth up and your bandwidth would drop. So I got this highest level internet available here in Washington. I'm paying out the butt several $100s a month for this internet, okay? And I'm still having problems. And the thing is, it's not nowhere near as bad as it was in Connecticut. When I was in Connecticut, it was all the time. It was like every couple of weeks I would have the problem. And it would be ongoing. And it would just be completely frustrating. No one who worked for Cablevision on the East Coast could figure anything out about what the hell the problem was. This seems to almost be the same problem here on the West Coast. It's intermittent. It's not steady. When I call Comcast, if they can't get it to test or happen when I'm on the phone with them or when there's a technician out here, they can't do anything to fix it because they can't find the problem, okay? So this week, my streams, of all things, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which I was doing big marathons of it this week, the streams kind of fizzled and died, and I hate to say it, this week might have been a week where I got some pretty decent viewership on stream, because that first day when I actually played Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I had over 1,000 people watching me play the multiplayer all day on Monday. So I was excited. I was like, this is excellent. You know, people are really interested in the game. They want to see the game modes. They want to see my take on it. And so when I started to play the campaign on Tuesday, I was like pumped. I was like, yes, people are really excited to see me play this game. Internet craps out, choppy as fuck, no one can see it, right? Then to like double whammy, right? Not only does the internet fuck up, something goes wrong with my capture setup, which I still don't even understand what caused it, and it caused audio desync. So now you had, people couldn't watch it on the stream, people couldn't watch it on YouTube, nowhere could you watch this playthrough without issues. So Kevin Spacey basically got butt fucked, okay? And it sucks, because I know, you guys, you know, oh, the new installment of Call of Duty, Phil does this every year. We love to watch him play the campaign of it because, you know, he does it differently. A lot of people don't even play the campaign of this game. They just fly right to the multiplayer. That's all they do. It's kind of like a yearly tradition for me to do the campaign of Call of Duty when a lot of other people don't. And it kind of sucked this year because that happened, all right? Now, the good news is, the internet is getting better. It's not as bad as it was. I did have some issues earlier today, but it was only for about an hour. Right now, I don't seem to be having any issues. So it is completely intermittent, and I don't know what it is, or Comcast probably can't even fix it, quite honestly. So I was able to actually play other sessions of the campaign of Call of Duty, and I did, you know, the playthrough up to near the end, I think there's like 3 more missions left in the game, has been recorded and uploaded to DSP Gaming on YouTube. Unfortunately, there's a chunk of about 10 videos in there where the audio is slightly desynced, but then there's a batch after those videos, the last batch that I uploaded, that are perfect. So I know, it's frustrating, but it is what it is, right? Now, the other cool thing is that YouTube now, this week, started supporting 60 frames per second, which means that all of my Call of Duty videos were uploaded in 60 frames, and people are saying it is night and day from the old footage that I used to put out. It looks amazing. Please continue to do it, so I will. Any game in the future that's supported by 60 frames per second, I will be capturing at that and streaming it at that, and also uploading it to YouTube at that, because that's the best quality, and that's what I want to give you guys, okay? So I want to say thank you if you did watch any of the Call of Duty stuff. There's more to come, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, okay? So that's been the major issue this week, is my internet. Now the question is, what can I do? There's nothing physically that I can do here in my actual home to fix this issue. It's going to be an ongoing issue that I cannot actually help myself. It's not the modem, it's not the wiring, it's nothing like that. You can tell it's the internet itself. So unfortunately, I can't physically fix the problem. What would happen is, if this keeps happening, and now let's say next week with all the new releases coming out, it's still happening, I gotta call Comcast, I gotta tell them I need someone out here right away, I gotta wait for someone to fucking show up, I gotta try to get them to test all the lines, they're probably still not gonna know what the problem is. Okay, please let us know when you're having the problem, we'll run another test. It's gonna be an ongoing issue, it's not gonna be a quick fix, it's gonna be a problem that I know is gonna take up a ton of time if it keeps happening to get fixed permanently, but that's basically my last resort. At this point, I'm hoping it just resolves itself like it always used to in Connecticut, and like it already has. I already had this problem a couple times since I moved to Washington, but usually it resolves itself within a day or two, so hopefully it does. Okay, so now let's talk about this week, what I was up to. Obviously, you already know I was all up to Call of Duty, but I was also going ahead and I finished Sunset Overdrive today. Okay, Sunset Overdrive was this really weird, hipsterish game made by Insomniac Studios, the same people who made Ratchet and Clank, and I have a lot to say about the game. I finished the game today, so if you want to watch the end of the playthrough, you definitely should. It is live on YouTube right now, and I actually already filmed my Hateful Truth review for it. That's going to be uploaded tomorrow to my The King of Hate vlogs, channel on YouTube if you want to see my full review of the game, okay? Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. After playing it for 3 to 4 days, what do I think about it? Let's start with how I did start with it, the multiplayer. The multiplayer of the game is definitely better than Ghosts. But I would be hard-pressed to say, wow, how could it not be better than Ghosts when Ghosts last year was by far the worst Call of Duty game ever made. You could tell that they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They completely screwed the pooch with the multiplayer. It was terrible spawn camping and just awful. It was an awful, awful experience last year, okay? So we kind of knew this year, unless they really, really botched it, it's got to be better, right? It's got to be better. And the answer is yes, Advanced Warfare is actually better than Ghosts in regard to the multiplayer. Now, I'm not here to tell you it's perfect or it's Game of the Year material or anything like that, but I'll tell you this, it is a hell of a lot of fun. It's addicting. It's the classic Call of Duty formula that you've come to know and love with motion mechanics like the double jump, the air dash, and the dashing forward with your jetpack that make you way more mobile than you ever were before. It's a new element added into the Call of Duty formula, makes it a little different. The kill streaks are completely changed and different. They're really a lot different than they used to be. So in that regard, it's a breath of fresh air and it's pretty fun. On the flip side of that, only after 2 to 3 days, people have already found all camping spots on all the maps, and they're all just sitting there with their sniper rifles, picking people off. Like, it's domination. No, I'm not going to play that mode. I'm going to sit here with my sniper rifle so I can get a 50-to-2 kill-death ratio, even though that doesn't help my team at all, and you probably lose the fucking match, but it boosts my numbers, so that's how you play the game, right? Wrong, asshole. But that's the problem with Call of Duty Online. You got these people with their giant edicts who only care about, oh, I have 5 zillion kills and 2 deaths. I'm so cool. Fuck you. Play the game the way it's supposed to be played. You're ruining it for everyone. But I digress. It's already happening. Okay, and it's going to happen. And these competitive multiplayer games, within a few days to a week, you get people who find out the abusive shit, and they will, and then people will eventually say, oh, okay, I know. People always camp over there, so I'll go behind and check it every time that I go through the map. So this is the logical progression of the game, okay? Okay. So, the multiplayer is fun, but I'll be honest, there's some game modes that seem terrible. Capture the Flag is all about camping. Domination is all about camping. There was 1 or 2 modes, I can't remember which they were, but it was all spawn camping. Meaning you would actually find where your enemies are spawning and just sit there up top, wait for them to spawn, kill, kill, kill. And this happened to me a bunch of times playing some of these various game modes, and I was like, this is like amateur night, because they should know not to have spawns that have spawn camping like that. You should not allow it. On the flip side of that, some game modes like Traditional Team Deathmatch, Kill Confirmed, those modes are really freaking good, and I had a ton of fun playing those modes. So it really is going to depend on what is your flavor and what is the game mode that you're here to play, and depending on that, do you like the multiplayer or not, it's going to be up to you, okay? I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think that the campaign of Advanced Warfare, the story is okay. It's cool that they got Kevin Spacey, but the gameplay is the same bullshit that's been in Call of Duty since day one. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I tweeted about this yesterday because I was so fucking frustrated about it, and I'm going to call it out tonight. It's 2014. It's not 2004. It's 2014. With all the first-person shooters that have come out, the fact that Call of Duty has an installment every year, it is unacceptable that they have still not repaired AI in the game to make your teammates actually worth a shit, and actually make it so that they don't walk in front of your fucking bullets when you're firing, refuse to shoot the fucking enemies, just basically get in the fucking way. And it's laughable if you watch the last few videos of my Call of Duty Advanced Warfare playthrough where you see I'm infiltrating this hidden base, this biolab. The fucking people are walking right in front of me. I'm opening fire on an enemy. Oh, here comes my teammate. Walks right in, absorbs some bullets. You know, I can't tell the difference between my teammates and the enemies because the names don't always pop up. It's unacceptable. This is like amateur night stuff that should have been fixed before they even had this campaign ready for release. I don't understand why it's terrible like that, okay? But, it's entertaining, but it's annoying at the same time because of the flaws. Because you can tell it's not there yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting good, but it's not great. There's still problems. There's a big battle on a bridge where if you try to play it differently than what the game wants you to do, the game wants you to walk right down the middle of the bridge and kill all the guys. If you don't do that, phantom bullets hit you out of nowhere. If you're like trying to sneak down the left side of the bridge and you kill a few enemies and you're sneaking by everyone, phantom bullets literally come out of the sky and kill you. You're like, what the fuck is that? I want to play the game the way I want to play it. Nope. Because Sledgehammer Games says that you must go down the middle of that bridge, you better, or you're not going to survive. You can't sneak down the left-hand side of the bridge. And it's like, garbage. And you get to the point where it's like, garbage, garbage, garbage. Now, I haven't beaten the campaign yet, but I'm close. I'll reserve my full review of the game for when I actually beat the campaign and I get a chance to play the other game modes, which, by the way, I'm about to mention, okay? Tomorrow, Friday, I am actually going to be playing Call of Duty Advanced Warfare for the day. My first stream is going to be more multiplayer with a focus on Team Deathmatch and Kill Confirmed, which are my two favorite modes and the modes that I actually do well in. When I play all the other game modes, I suck and I rage. When I play those game modes, I usually do pretty decently and I enjoy myself. So I want to have a session of the multiplayer that I'm actually freaking enjoying myself. And that's going to be tomorrow, first stream. I'm only like an hour away from beating the story campaign from what I'm to understand. So that's going to be tomorrow's second stream, will be the conclusion of the story, okay? Excuse me. Keep in mind, tomorrow we're also going to have the Hardcore Gaming Season giveaway. And we're also going to have the review of Sunset Overdrive, all being reviewed. So tomorrow's going to be a ton of content for you, okay? Saturday, there is a strong chance that myself, Nestor, and Howard, in fact, I'm going to see if I got a text back, but I don't think I did. Myself, Nestor, and Howard are going to be playing the co-op campaign, which isn't really a campaign. I think it's just a co-op challenge survivor mode of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare on the PS4. So the first co-op we're ever going to do, I'm going to try to get my mic working and everything for it. And we're going to see how the co-op exactly works and if it's any good. That's going to be Saturday. And then that's going to pretty much complete my launch week coverage of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. After playing it that much in 1 week, that's enough. And I should be able to take some time to review the game either Sunday or Monday and put out my official review of it in time for next week's new releases. Okay? So that's what's coming up in the next couple of days. Sunday and Monday, there's a potential that I could get back to things such as Parasite Eve or other stuff like that that's kind of been left by the wayside temporarily. Okay. So that's my initial thoughts on Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I think the online play is fun, better than last year, but not perfect, and certain game modes are better than others. The campaign is kind of you know, it's just such glare. Amazing graphics, photorealistic surroundings, and then as you aim your gun and you're firing at the enemy, your whole squad walks in front of you and absorbs your bullets. It's like, talk about ruining the immersion of a campaign, and that does it because they still didn't fucking fix this shit. Okay. So enough about that. Let's talk about next week, because next week is a huge freaking week. Next week we have no fewer than, I believe, 5 releases that I actually want to check out. So let me explain to you which ones they are. The games that I'm interested in next week are as follows. Assassin's Creed Unity, Assassin's Creed Rogue, Halo Master Chief Collection, Sonic Boom on the Wii U, and Sonic Boom on the Nintendo 3DS. Now, admittedly, I haven't checked on those Sonic Boom dates in a while, and I heard that it might have either been delayed or something. I'm not sure. But I do know they're supposed to be coming out either next week or the week after. All right. How am I going to be covering this many releases? Because obviously that's way too many to play in 1 week. Well, how is this going to happen? Very simple. I'm way more interested in Unity, Assassin's Creed Unity, than I am in Rogue. Even though I loved Assassin's Creed 4 and I felt that it was a great return to the franchise after the horrendous installment that was Assassin's Creed 3, I don't really care about returning to Pirates right away. I'd like to see what the next stage, the next level that they can offer us is. And so Assassin's Creed Unity is going to be my main focus that week, balanced with the Halo Master Chief Collection and Halo 2 Remastered in HD on the Xbox One. Those are going to be my two focuses next week. And I'm going to be doing that all week, okay? There is a chance that at the end of the week when the Sonic Boom games come out that I pick one and I say this is the one I want to play right away. And so I may be doing 3 games all at a time. Chances are Assassin's Creed Rogue and the Sonic Boom games, especially if I don't get too far through Halo and or Assassin's Creed Unity, are going to go by the wayside, and they're going to be something that I play later during downtime because it's just too much going on right now for me to play everything at once. I want to play them, but physically I can't play everything together. Okay? The next week's even more out of control. The week after that, we've got some like 6 releases or something insane. We'll talk about that on the weekend preview next week, so that way you guys understand what's going on with that. And we won't bother going that far ahead to discuss that, but that's going to be wild, and that's going to be going far into December with the amount of releases coming out, okay? All right. So, that's next week. So, I got a few things to talk about this week, a few important updates and issues and things that I think people want to hear about. And the first one is actually good news. And it's rare when I get to come on here and say, great news, everyone! So I'm going to pull a professor, professor from, I can't remember his last name, the professor from Futurama. He goes, good news, everyone! And then he tells them bad news. But the good news is this. There's some new news that have come out of mainstream media who have had the chance to get their hands on the next-gen version of Grand Theft Auto 5. This is the remastered version of the game that has next-gen 1080p graphics, supposedly runs at 60 frames per second on the PS4. I don't know about the Xbox One. And people who've been playing this are saying, this is fucking great, it looks amazing, it really is. But the real big news that came out this week in particular was that this game can be played in the first person. Yeah, you can actually play Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PS4 and Xbox One as a first-person shooter. And people were like, wow, that completely changes things. In fact, yeah, that actually makes it a different game. You change it from a third-person cover-based shooter to a first-person shooter. The game is now dramatically different than it was before. And I'm interested in how this is going to actually be running on the next-gen systems here. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Until this announcement, I thought that the re-release of Grand Theft Auto 5 was like a non-event for me. I was like, I played it last year, I liked it, I took my time with it, but I have no desire to play that game again just because why do I need to go back and play the same game? Now it's the same game, but completely different control scheme, completely different perspective. In fact, I saw some of the pictures that people have been taking in the game, and it's like, the people now are insanely detailed. It's like being in a virtual, San Andreas style area. And it looks awesome. It looks freaking great. It looks like a virtual reality almost of being in Hollywood. And just looking at it, I was like, this looks really fucking good. Like, even though I know the plot of the game, this might be something that I want to check out. And I'll be honest, I'm almost being convinced to buy the game, which I didn't want to do and I wasn't going to do. I'm almost getting convinced to buy it and not play it immediately, but maybe do something in December, January when things are slow and there's not a lot of games. Do a playthrough of it in the first person at the high quality that I can capture now and see how it turns out. I think people might like to see a playthrough of it from the first person. How is that different? You know, how does it differ? So I'm considering it, and I don't know what you guys think about that idea. I don't know if you think that it would be worth my time to play the game entirely through again. What do you think? So obviously let me know in the comments of this video. Let me know on Twitter what your thoughts are on me replaying Grand Theft Auto 5 at a later date in the first person. Okay? Alright. And then finally, the last thing that I actually want to talk about here on the very first segment tonight of Hate Live is a very, very important issue. It's something that I mentioned months and months ago, but at that point I said it's not worth flipping out about because we've got months to wait before we get into a position where this is going to become some kind of a big issue that we really need to talk about and worry about. Months have passed, and we're now in a position where this is something that we need to talk about and get really worried about. And I don't want to kind of be one of these alarmists and say, oh God, the sky is falling, everything's going to break, no more YouTube, no more Twitch, no more Netflix, no more anything on the internet. The internet's going to go to holy hell. It's going to be like the fucking Puritan days where we're going to be churning butter over the internet. There's nothing on the internet. I don't want to say that. I just did, but I don't want to say that. But what I do want to let you know is that there's some serious shit going on right now in the United States government that could seriously affect and change the way the internet works and negatively affect people like you and me who enjoy to watch gameplay videos, live streaming video on Twitch TV, Netflix to watch your TV and movies, all those services. All right? So let's talk. There is this thing called net neutrality that has been around since the inception of the internet, since the internet came to be. What net neutrality means is it basically a premise that you have free and open access to anywhere on the internet that is not private property or secured by the owner, okay? Which means, for example, that if you are paying for internet through your internet company and you want to go to a website of someone who made a web page in Bangladesh, that you don't go there and all of a sudden it says the United States government or an internet service provider has censored this website because we don't want you seeing things from Bangladesh, we don't like them. Or for example, let's say, how about this? Let's say that your internet service provider is Verizon, because a lot of people have Verizon as an internet service provider, right? And you want to go check out T-Mobile because you don't like your Verizon cell phone service, you think it sucks, and you want to go check out the competitor. You type in T-Mobile, you got to go to the website, and oh, sorry, because you're using Verizon internet, you can't see any websites of our competitors, so it's blocked. Just imagine that. Imagine if you tried to go to places on the internet and they were just blatantly blocked, okay? It could happen. Net neutrality has been the premise that has protected us from this, that everyone should have free and open access to the internet unlimitedly, and that we shouldn't have any kind of limitations on our use or what we see on the internet. The other half of this, that's kind of the scarier half, is not really seeing a website blocked, but it's more so when it comes to internet usage. Because right now, when you go with most ISPs, okay, you pay them a certain amount of money a month for certain expected internet speeds. Maybe it's, I don't know, 30 megabit per second download and 7 megabit per second upload. Mine in particular, because I have business class internet, is absolutely insane. It's actually over 100 megabit per second download, and it's supposed to be 30 megabit per second upload, but really it's more realistically around 22 megabits per second, okay? So I'm incredibly fast, but right now, just think about my business right now. I'm live streaming to you right now. It's incredible bandwidth I'm using, sending this to you. You guys are watching the stream. That's incredible bandwidth usage on your end, watching me live stream. Anytime that I record a video for YouTube and I upload the video to YouTube, that's big bandwidth usage. When you play a video on YouTube, that's big bandwidth usage. And ultimately what this ends up being is seeing that the internet is being cluttered with streaming video services. In fact, if I remember correctly, and don't quote me on this, but I could have sworn I heard a statistic a few months ago that they did research and found out that Netflix alone, just Netflix alone, since it blew up and became the most popular on-demand video sharing service in the world, is now accountable for 1/4 to 1/3 of the total internet usage, period. 1/3 of the internet usage in the world is because people are watching TV and movies on Netflix. Whoa. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind, a few years ago, Netflix didn't exist as a digital service. It was people mailing in DVDs and getting DVDs through the mail. So it's a completely different business model now. And the internet got slammed when they decided to go to this business model. Okay? So, in the midst of all this change, right? Internet service providers, major corporations, motion picture companies, television production companies, all those people who love to fuck with us, the people who love to censor, who love to dick around and love to just fucking... Remember a few years ago we had SOPA and PIPA where they wanted to make it all these restrictions on the fucking internet because, oh, people are downloading our movies and our TV, and that's not even what it was. It was complete bullshit, but they were trying to make these sweeping changes to the internet, and it wasn't until enough of us, the independent people who use the internet for gaming and stuff, spoke up to the mainstream media, that the mainstream media gained attention and listened to us and said, oh, we got to make this a major story, made it a major story, and the next thing you know, everyone was up in arms and said, no, you're not censoring the internet, okay? Those same fucking people are back to do this bullshit now with net neutrality. So let me give you some perspective on if what happens with the FCC right now happens, which a lot of people are speculating it will happen, what could literally happen overnight that's going to dramatically change the state of the internet, at least in the United States, and any company based out of the United States. Okay? So let's say, for example, let's say, for example, you live in New York City. And right now you're with, I don't know, Time Warner Cable. I have no idea who does internet. I'm just guessing. Time Warner Cable. And right now you pay $70 a month to get high-speed internet through a cable modem, okay? And every day you watch YouTube videos, maybe you watch a few Twitch TV streams, maybe you use Netflix to stream some videos, and maybe you're not the most heavy internet user out there, but, you know, you're modern, you're in the times, and you like to use the new technologies. You have an iPad, maybe an iPhone, you watch a video on there and stuff, right? You have decent internet usage. Literally, if the FCC votes and passes what they're about to vote on about net neutrality, striking it down in the United States, it would give the power to Time Warner Cable, to Comcast, to Cablevision, whoever these internet service providers are, to say, well, we checked your internet usage and we see that you use more than a lot of other people. So what we're going to do is this. We're now, instead of just having everyone the same internet, unlimited use, what we're going to do is we're going to start capping internet, and we're going to have different packages that we can sell you. All right. So if you're just going to use the internet for web browsing, instant messaging, sending a photo here and there, nothing major, not a lot of usage, you can get the standard internet package for $60 a month, and that's good enough for you. Maybe you're a middle of the road person. Maybe you're the kind of person that, yeah, occasionally you'll watch a video on YouTube, or you'll do some stuff that's very internet intensive, but it's not something you do daily. It's not something you're all about. So it's just a little bit faster than that. It's more data usage than the standard package. So it's kind of a middle package. We'll charge you $80 a month for that one. But now, for you people who are major users of the internet, you're the power user, right? You want to be in the internet fast lane, the one where you have unlimited use, where you're going to be able to watch Netflix nonstop, you're going to be able to watch YouTube nonstop, you're going to be able to watch Twitch nonstop. We don't care what your bandwidth is. Oh, by the way, we're going to charge you $150 a month to have that usage. This could happen overnight. Now, I just want you to put this in perspective for you guys. I don't know how many of you actually are responsible for the internet in your homes and you pay your bills. I do. Overnight, your internet bills could triple, if that's what you want. In most cases, do you think you're going to be able to afford going from $60 a month to $150 a month to be in the internet fast lane? No, what's going to happen is whoever's responsible for that bill is going to say, I can't fucking afford it. I guess I'm not doing those things anymore. And they're going to go right down to the lower level, and massive loss of views on YouTube, massive loss of attendance on streams on Twitch, and massive loss of use of Netflix, a business that established itself on the fact that people had unlimited internet. So this could happen, and I'm not even kidding. Like, this could happen universally across the board. This could start happening within a couple weeks if the FCC takes this vote and basically says, net neutrality, we're striking it down. Now, I don't want you guys to think that this is the end of the world. And here, let me explain why I think that a lot of people are blowing this way out of proportion. There's always these people, remember the alarmists, the sky is falling, the internet will end, there'll be no more gaming on the internet, everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket, we're all going to die. Don't listen to the crazy alarmists, because they're always going to blow things out of proportion. Right now, there are countries that don't have net neutrality. Great Britain doesn't have net neutrality. And Great Britain, last I checked, they're still a big part of the viewer base of the internet, right? You don't hear, this is Mr. Jones from Great Britain. I would love to participate in the video streaming service. However, the internet has been slowed to a snail's pace, and therefore I'm writing you, or I'm typing you on my old typewriter. I will mail this via snail mail. You know, that's not happening. Okay? So, even if net neutrality gets stricken down, okay, it doesn't mean it's the end of everything. It just means that things may get a little bit more expensive, and things may get a little bit tricky when it comes to what are these ISPs going to allow and not going to allow, okay? See, I can see both parts of this, okay? From my perspective, I'm already paying hundreds of dollars a month for my internet because I have business class internet. I would really doubt that they're going to contact me and say, oh, you're already paying hundreds of dollars a month for internet, you have to pay more now. I don't think so. I think they're going to say, okay, you're considered the internet fast lane, don't worry about it, business as usual. But I'll be honest with you guys, I am worried that my viewer base, right, I have an international viewer base, a big viewer base worldwide. In fact, when I did the research a couple years ago, I actually found out that more than half of the people who watch me are outside of the United States, which is kind of wild when you think about it. I need that viewer base. What if immediately in the United States, half the people get their internet reduced and no one can watch my content anymore because now they have all these limitations, or they have to pay a shitload of money to get the internet they used to have, and now they can't watch my videos, they can't watch my live streams. What happens to me? Right? What happens to you in your life? There are people, culture has been changed dramatically by unlimited, unhindered internet. It's created amazing amounts of sharing, of culture, of social networking, of relationships, of just culture in general, the fact that things go viral. What's going to happen when people can't get that access anymore because it's either expensive or it's blocked? And these are the concerns that everyone's having right now, is that if net neutrality gets shot down in the United States, it's just going to be a big rolling bundle, of avalanche of shit that's going to be all censorship and crap for the internet, and that the internet's basically going to get fucked up. Okay? Now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if it's really going to affect anything negatively. You don't know. That's the thing. You never know. And the bottom line is this. There's always a good intention usually behind these things. So maybe they want to get rid of net neutrality because they don't want people going to places like the Pirates Bay and blatantly stealing people's fucking content. Okay, I can get that. If your ISP says we want to block the Pirates Bay because it's blatant fucking theft and it's blatant crime, I understand that. By the way, I don't think anyone would be doing that anyway, because the 3 owners of the Pirates Bay have now been arrested and are all now behind bars, and the website, I believe, is either shut down or getting shut down. But I digress. There are known malicious websites that these ISPs would love to say we want to shut down so people can't go to them. But right now, as the law is, they can't do it. And that's one of the reasons why the FCC is looking to get involved and make a vote on net neutrality. In addition to that, I'm absolutely sure that there are places, and I know this for a fact, there are places where there's guys, I have a server farm in my fucking apartment, and I run torrents all day, illegally distributing all this content to thousands of people across the fucking globe. Oh, and by the way, I have the unlimited internet package from Comcast, so I just fuck the internet up. Everywhere around here, no one has good internet because I suck all the fucking bandwidth usage up running a fucking server farm of illegal torrents. I'm not saying that's very frequent. I'm just saying I'm sure it exists. You know? And that's the stuff they want to shut down. I'm for it. But if you're going to create changes to existing law regarding the internet, you have to be damn sure it doesn't inadvertently screw something else up. Right? Remember, again, SOPA and PIPA, I'm going to make the same reference because it's kind of the same situation. There were good intentions behind it. They didn't want people stealing music, stealing movies, stealing television shows, and illegally distributing them. I'm all for that. If you put time, money, and effort into a product and you want to sell it, other people shouldn't be able to just rip it and fucking spread it across the internet how they want. I'm okay with that. But don't fucking destroy the internet because you can't find a reasonable way to stop that. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you're going to stop the people who are doing that, but you're also going to completely fuck the internet up so people can't do gameplay videos, and people can't do this or that. It gets out of control. And so this is the problem. You know, will they, if let's say that they do shoot down net neutrality, will our government, our United States government, immediately say, okay, this is an emergency, things have really big time changed with the internet, what we need to do now is be responsible lawmakers, we need to get our asses into our seats, we need to sit down and hash out new laws regarding the internet about what's available and what's legal and what's not. We want to make sure that the ISPs don't take advantage of their customers because now they have this control over the internet. But will our lawmakers do that? Or, I hate to say it, we had this conversation how many times over the years, will the U.S. lawmakers see the fucking millions of dollars that lobbyists are now spending on those lawmakers to get them to just cast a blind eye so that the ISP companies can do whatever they want, they can charge whatever they want, they can censor whatever they want, and say, oh, we didn't know, well, too bad, we're just lawmakers, we don't know all about the internet. Which is bullshit. The United States government should be based off of lobbyists going to fucking Capitol Hill and spending money on people to make them change their opinion or do something in Congress or the House of Representatives that they normally wouldn't do. It's fucking blatant bribery, and that's how our government works. I don't fucking understand it. I'm like, how does that work? How is that illegal? How is that legal? So anyway, net neutrality is going to come to a vote very shortly. If you've now heard about this and you're alert, you're like, holy shit, really? This is going to happen? I don't want net neutrality to go away. Everyone should have unlimited internet. We want to keep using Netflix. We want Twitch and YouTube, and we want everything to be the same. We don't want prices to jump up. We don't want websites being blocked or banned by ISPs. The only thing I can say is this: spread the word. The number one, information is power. The reason that Shopa and Pippa got shut down is because we all verbally spread the word to all of our friends, relatives, and everyone knew about it to the point where it hit the mainstream media. The mainstream media treated it seriously, and all of a sudden the lawmakers completely flipped and changed their tune because they all wanted to get reelected. If we want net neutrality to exist in a couple of weeks to a month's time, we need to do the same fucking thing. Go out there and tell everyone you know that net neutrality is in danger. Tell them why it's a good thing to have. Tell them how things will change if this happens. And then basically go online, and if you look, there's already several campaigns of people who have phone numbers you can call at the FCC, higher-ups, people within the organization who you can read a script to and say, this is bullshit. You know, well, you don't want to say, oh, dear FCC, this is bullshit. They'll just hang up on you. Just say, very politely, whatever the script says about how it's very alarming and that net neutrality should be preserved. If the people make their voices known, chances are the same thing can happen that happened a few years ago with SOPA and PIPA, and these lawmakers will either talk to the FCC and say, listen, no, we need to basically stop this bullshit. Don't vote that net neutrality gets canceled. Or, if net neutrality does get canceled and or changed, the lawmakers will actually do a responsible job to make sure that things don't get fucked up on the internet. But that's the problem. We would love to make these big sweeping changes, but we don't actually look at the nuances of who gets affected by them. But that's something we figure out later. And I hate to say it, President Obama, well-intentioned. Let's increase healthcare. Let's make it so everyone has healthcare in the United States and no one has pre-existing conditions that make them not qualified or have to pay a shitload of money for healthcare. Great. Then he turns the switch on, and none of the infrastructure is there to support it. So people can't get healthcare for months. I was one of these people. Couldn't get healthcare until just recently. After living here for 4 months, I finally got my healthcare. There are probably people out there who are falling through the cracks, who are getting all these medical bills. They can't get them paid because the healthcare system wasn't set up properly. And that's the problem with the United States government. Big, lofty, great ideas, no execution on the line level to make sure that those ideas actually get implemented properly. And that's a huge problem with the United States. All right, so that's the bottom line with what's going on right now in regards to net neutrality. I wanted to spread the word about it because, yes, it is important. You might not think it's important. I'll tell you these things, when these little changes happen and then how they affect us in a big way. I mean, imagine that. Imagine if everyone's internet went up and immediately overnight half my viewer base says, well, Phil, we can't watch your content anymore because we don't have the bandwidth to watch your videos or streams, so have a nice life. And immediately half my viewer base is gone, and now how do I make a living? Right? What about Netflix, a business that has grown exponentially in the past few years, and all of a sudden it cuts down to 1/10 of their old viewership because no one has internet that can handle it, because no one can afford it, or because they got shut off by the government. This is the kind of shit that could happen. And you definitely need to inform yourself about it, spread the word about it, and take some action, because this is stuff, again, here we are. How many years have I been doing this job? And it seems like it's never over, right? There's always some new challenge. There's always some new bullshit around the corner that's threatening all of us from having a fucking good time on the internet and being able to do what we want to do. And it's ridiculous. It's like, just leave us the fuck alone. The internet's cool. The internet's a good place. Yeah, there's trolling. Yeah, there's bullying. But for the most part, there's a lot of fun, interesting stuff you can find on the internet. It's an outing. It's a place where someone like me and you and anyone can go out and have a voice and share themselves with other people and share experiences and be creative. I never would have been able to do any of the stuff that I'm doing right now for a living if it weren't for the internet and YouTube. Those are the avenues that we use to share our lives with people. And for that to be taken away overnight because some fucking idiot lawmaker or some dumbass at the FCC doesn't understand what the fuck they're even voting on? Bullshit. So, alright, I'll now get off my high horse. I'll get off the soapbox. I'll step back down. And I'll say, I've now done my part. I've spoken about it. I've spread the word. Hopefully things turn out well. Obviously, if things do change, I'll keep you guys in the know on what the hell's going on. Because you're going to need to know if, overnight I have to go get a job fucking, I don't know, being a fucking clerk at a store scanning barcodes and bagging stuff because I can't make ends meet doing this anymore because half my viewer base went away because they can't afford internet. I mean, it could happen. And that's like the uncertainty of the stuff that I do and that anyone who has an internet-based business or anyone who uses the internet heavily, it's just an uncertain thing right now because we're in the developmental stages of it. So, all right, everyone. That is it for our first segment of Hate Live tonight. I hope that you enjoyed it. We're going to take a short break. When I come back from break, we're going to be talking about Advertisement. That's right. Traditionally, November is the big shopping month of the year, where everything goes from the red to the black. People are go out in droves to spend their money and buy stuff. Commercialism is at its height this month, and so we're continuing on with our theme of advertisement in the 1980s and 90s for our Back in the Day segment. I got some really good ones I want to talk about. I think you're going to enjoy it. Thanks for being here on Hate Live. If you're watching live on Twitch TV, just hang in there. After a short commercial break, I'll be back to continue on. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can head right to the description of the video. You can click on the annotation, and you can jump right ahead to the next portion of the program rather than having to sit here and wait for the dead air to pass. All right? Thanks, everyone. I'll be back shortly. right, welcome back everyone to segment 2 of Hate Live tonight, which is going to be back in the day, which I always love to do. It's a fan favorite. And we are continuing right along with the same theme as last week as we move into the biggest shopping season of the year. This month, undoubtedly, everyone will be adding their shopping list for their friends and family for Christmas, and they're actually going to put, oh, I need to buy this and buy this. When now, who am I kidding? Everyone's looking for the Black Friday deals to run out and buy shit for themselves, right? That's the American way. But anyway, I digress. This is the month traditionally where a lot of advertisement happens because this is the time to get your products awareness out there. So as people hit those stores, they're looking for your products. And last week we talked a lot about game boards, board games in particular. I actually screwed up. If you guys don't realize this, no one really brought this up, but I realized as I was looking at video clips after the show, I had actually, during the segment last week, fused 2 different board games that I had played when I was a child into one in my mind, and I didn't realize it. One was called Forbidden Bridge, and one is called Fireball Isle, okay? Forbidden Bridge is the one that I was really talking about on the show, where the big tiki face comes out with flames and goes, Forbidden! Right? And we made some jokes about it. It was fun and turned into a little quick meme. But I didn't realize this. There was another game that was almost the same game, only it wasn't a bridge that shook. It was these little, like, alleyways that with little red marbles would roll down and knock your guy off the island. That one was called Fireball Isle. That was the one that I owned. I had played Forbidden Bridge somewhere else, but the commercial for Forbidden Bridge was the one that I was talking about. I don't know. I digress. Let's get to some new stuff. Let's actually talk about some new stuff this week. Heading along with the same vein of reasoning and thought, there's one advertisement that I remember from I believe it was the early 1990s. And, I mean, I just got to bring this one up because it's so stupid. I obviously can't play you the video clip. I absolutely think that all of you, right after this show, should head over to YouTube and find it. You got to find the ad for Mr. Bucket. That was the weirdest fucking thing I think I've ever seen in my life. It was supposed to be a kid's toy, almost like not a board game, but one of those interactive games for smaller kids. And what it was a bucket with a human face on the bucket. The bucket had 2 little wheels under the bucket, and it would be battery powered, and it would actually drive around, okay? It would drive around on the floor, and you would have these little balls, these little plastic balls, that you would basically try to grab these balls with a little scoop and put it into the top of the bucket, and the bucket had a mouth that was open like this. It would be like this, oh, so it looked like an O face. It looked like it was eternally giving a blowjob, and it would actually spit the balls out of its mouth, like, you know, something like you would expect a stripper to do or some weird shit. It was just so interesting. Now, that doesn't sound weird enough, the balls. The ad for Mr. Bucket. He goes, on Mr. Bucket, you put the balls in my top. On Mr. Bucket, out of my mouth they will pop. On Mr. Bucket, we're all gonna run. On Mr. Bucket, buckets of fun. And I mean, it's the weird, he sounded just like this. I swear to God, I go, on Mr. Bucket, put the balls in my top. On Mr. Bucket, oh, out of my mouth they will pop. On Mr. Bucket. We're all gonna run to Mr. Bucket. Oh, buckets of fun. It's the weirdest, creepiest shit. Like, if you gotta see this commercial. It's so creepy. Imagine a kid seeing that and not knowing what that is. Like, balls in your mouth? Oh, put the balls in his mouth. Like, no, put the balls in his top. No, put them in his mouth. And it's just so fucking weird. I mean, just think about how the sexual innuendos of this, right? You go, I'm Mr. Fuck It. Put your balls in my mouth. I'm Mr. Fuck It. Like, all you have to do is change like 2 letters and it becomes the most disgusting thing ever. And they thought this was an okay ad campaign for kids. It was just so fucking weird, man. You gotta see this ad. You gotta see this ad. There's gotta be parodies of it somewhere for someone who did dirty shit with that. It's so funny. Alright, so continuing on with toys and stuff, okay. I remember there was this one that I always thought, now I was young enough to get something like this. I thought it was fucking creepy shit. Okay? Now, let me explain something. When I was a kid, I actually had a big, I don't know, you wouldn't call it a stuffed animal. I forget exactly what they were called, but they were actually WWF wrestlers. So I had a big, like, stuffed Hulk Hogan, and he was cartoonish looking and fluffy. And you slam him down, it would be like pretending like you're watching wrestling. It was funny. They advertised it on WWF TV and all that. So you can understand, okay, like a humanoid stuffed thing or a humanoid doll or whatever, why that would be popular. I fucking remember, there was this one called My Buddy. And just watching the commercial made you so incredibly depressed because you said, if any kid was like this, I would fucking commit them and have them start talking to a psychiatrist immediately. Just listen to this. So it would show this kid, this boy, right? He's a little boy. He's by himself, and he has this doll. I swear it must have been the inspiration for Chucky. I'm not kidding. The Chucky doll from fucking any of the Chucky movies, Child's Play. This could be the doll. But this was really, it wasn't a joke. It wasn't a parody of Chucky. They sold this in stores. Said that it would go, my buddy, wherever I go, he's gonna go, my buddy and me. And the whole commercial was this kid and this doll. Basically, the kid's best friend is the doll. He has no real life friends, no friends around him, right? No other children, just himself and this doll. No parents, just him and this doll. This like imaginary friend doll, and he's like so attached to it. He's playing with him. He's on a slide with him. He's eating with him, like simulating food. And it's like, what the hell kind of a kid would you buy him? Well, son, I know you have no friends. You're antisocial. I'm a deadbeat parent. I don't have fucking time to spend with you, so I'm gonna buy you My Buddy, and you go fucking play with him and leave me the hell alone. Like, it is so creepy. If you watch those commercials, there's a few of them too. And then I actually remember it became popular. Like, it became the hot thing one year for Christmas. And so the next year, guess what they came out with? Kid sister. And it wasn't for boys. This was supposed to be for girls. And it was the same fucking thing. It was the same ad with a girl. Lonely, no friends. Her parents are nowhere to be found. She's just playing with this fucking doll. Like, what is this? How about baseball bat? Go play sports with friends? Nope. My buddy, I'm by myself and my imaginary friend. That shit was creepy, dude. That shit was creepy. Like, again, go see those commercials and you'll be like, whoa. Like, they sold this shit to kids. Now, one of these toys that I never had as a kid, but it was one that I always kind of wanted, and I knew if I had it, it would be nothing but trouble. And in fact, I don't even understand how they sold this, because it obviously was nothing but trouble. Like, it was meant to be a prank. It was called Creepy Crawlers. Alright? What it was a kit where you would buy these molds, and this, I don't know if it was like an oven or something. I don't know how you would make it, but it would be these like jelly stuff. And you'd use these molds that were shaped like insects, like big spiders or locusts or creepy fucking things, right? And you would put it in, and you would put the gel in, and it would actually create like a rubbery, stretchy bug. And the whole purpose of Creepy Crawlers was to fuck with girls. What?
My brother had
He did? See, I never had it.
It was huge. It was disgusting once it melted, because when you go onto the carpet, that shit doesn't come out.
Oh, yeah.
But, oh, God, that thing feels disgusting.
Right? It's like, isn't it supposed to be like a stretchy, gooey material?
Like really disgusting.
But, like, what is the purpose of creating this besides, like, I don't want a giant fucking rubber bug in my room. It's to scare people. So you would make the Creepy Crawlers, and you would think, you scare people. And that was the commercial, too. It was, Creepy Crawlers, they're icky, they're spooky, they're ookie bookie bookie. Like, that was the commercial. And then they would show the kids, like, he would show it to a girl, the girl would go, ah! And, like, what parent would buy this for their kid? All you're going to do is harass girls with it. Like, it's asking for trouble. And they're oh, that's just innocent fun. Ho, 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 you rapscallion. Go shove that gummy locust down little Sally's pants. She'll be traumatized for life. Ho, 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 I'm a good parent. Creepy fucking Crawlers, man. That was another one. So now I think what we should do, since we are in this reminiscing, we should move out of the realm of toys. Okay, for now, because I think I've reminisced on the toys that I wanted to talk about, at least for TV ads that were really weird. And I want to move into the realm of food, because we talked a little bit about gum and soda and stuff like that, but the food ads during the 1980s, in particularly, and I know people are going to say, I know what you're talking about, because if you were alive back then, cereal ads were fucked up. In the 1980s, cereal ads, children's cereal ads, were really fucking like were mean and mean-spirited and just, like, not nice. And I don't understand how they sold cereal like this. But for me, I was a kid, so I'm innocent. I don't understand. Then you watch them as an adult, and you're like, this is fucked up. Like, this is psychological stuff that, for children's cereal. So I remember this first one, right? This first one was, they still sell it, but they don't call it what they used to call it. Because in the 1980s, they didn't care about anything in the 1980s. You could call a cereal Super Ultra Sugar Cocoa Fat Explosion Bombs, and people would say, that's fine. Right? Today, you can't say sugar, you can't say sweet, you can't say any of those things in the name of your cereal. That's not, that's not good to say sugar or sweet. No one wants to hear that, right? So I actually remember that there used to be Sugar Crisp, is what it used to be called. And what it is, these little puffs of wheat puffs that were covered in like a unique flavoring of, say, honey and sugar and even a little bit of seasoning. I don't know if it was cinnamon or it was something, but it was called Sugar Crisp. Can't get enough of that Sugar Crisp. And they had this guy called the Sugar Bear. That was the character for Sugar Crisp cereal, was a bear. He was like almost a humanoid bear. And it was funny because it was the most violent fucking commercials I've ever seen in my life, and they were completely accepted because it was cartoonish, right? So here would be the premise of the commercial. Sugar Bear would maybe, I don't know, be walking around, or, sometimes he would have the Sugar Crisp cereal. Sometimes someone would steal it from him. That was the kind of the premise. Like, he had Sugar Crisp, or he wanted the Sugar Crisp cereal, but somehow he didn't have it. So he would then proceed to find someone who either stole it from him or someone who had it, and he would beat the fuck out of them. That was the premise of the commercial. Sugar Bear would beat the shit out of you. Like, Sugar Bear would put out his fucking giant bear pimp hand, and he would fucking slap you on camera. And that was the commercial. I'm kid you not. Sometimes they would go in, and there's a crocodile stole a Sugar Crisp. Like, fuck that crocodile. You walk right up, hey, boom, punch him right in the face with a big black eye. The crocodile would go, oh! And you take the cereal. Can't get enough of that Sugar Crisp. It's got the crunch with punch. Oh, yeah. I'm going to eat the cereal. And now, good luck getting that in any ad today, right? Because it's so violent. It was literally blatant violence. Just walk up to someone, oh, you got that cereal? Fuck you. Oh, punch him in the face and take the cereal. Now, it's funny because over the years, these ads changed. They evolved. And they didn't want to have, I guess, that violent association with their cereal anymore. And they also didn't want it to have that sugar association. I guess sugar's bad for children. They don't want sugar. Oh, so what they say, they changed the name of it. They called it Super Golden Crisp. Okay, they changed the whole premise of it. It's not Sugar Crisp, it's Super Golden Crisp. And then they changed it again, where it was at one point where he was just beating the shit out of other animals to get the cereal. Now they changed it to a grandmother. And I remember, I shit you not, I remember seeing this first commercial ever with the Sugar Bear. Of course, he wasn't called Sugar Bear anymore. I believe they changed his name. And he went to the grandmother's house because she had the cereal. I was like, he's going to punch that grandmother right in the fucking face. He's been doing it for a decade on TV. That's what he does. He beats you up. He takes your cereal. That grandmother's in trouble. She's got to call the fucking police. The bear's going to beat the shit out of her. But they changed the premise from then on. It wasn't that he would attack. He would try to find a way to outsmart the grandmother and steal the cereal from her. So it was a completely different ad. And it was like weird to see how it changed over time like that. Now I got to bring this up. Let's talk about some of the fucked up cereal ads. I mean, I'm talking the cruel shit. Okay? How about Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles? Anyone remember those? This was the big tie-in with the Flintstones during the 1980s. Why? I don't know why this was popular in the 1980s is anyone's guess, because the Flintstones were from the 1970s. So why the Flintstones got popular in the 80s and people wanted to eat cereal of the Flintstones, I have no idea. But they had Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles. So one's more tastes like fruit and one tastes like, chocolate. And I actually loved them, by the way. Those are some of my favorite cereals. They would always change the color of the milk or whatever. But the ads for those were also weird. All of a sudden, now if you ever saw the Flintstones, it's like Fred Flintstone's kind of like the family man. He has his wife, Betty. No, I'm sorry, his wife, Wilma. And then you have his next-door neighbor, Barney Rubble, and his wife, Betty, and they have their children, and they get into these crazy prehistoric adventures because they're supposed to be like prehistoric cavemen in almost a modern setting where they go to work and they do all this stuff. So it was nice. It was like Barney was Fred's friend. They would get into capers together and stuff. The commercials were fucked up. The commercials were like Barney became this evil fucking person who always hoarded the cereal and wouldn't let Fred get any cereal. And I remember it was always about Barney getting all the cereal and eating the cereal, and Fred could never get it. He would always try and he would fail. Like, why won't you let Fred have some cereal? I mean, he's a little round in the stomach, but I don't think a bowl of cereal is gonna fucking make him gain a ton of weight or anything. I could see it's not a health concern, so what is it? What's the big deal with letting Fred have some cereal? And there was some crazy, and I still remember to this day, because this was the one ad that they always played, even when they stopped running the ads, like a decade later, they still ran this one around Christmas. And it would be the Santa Claus one. And it would be that, I believe, Santa was around or something. And I guess it was the moral of that commercial was because it was Christmas, Barney would actually let Fred have some pebbles. I'm like, wow, Barney, what a nice guy you are. You never let me have any fucking breakfast, but on Christmas, as my Christmas gift, you let me have a fucking, 50-cent bowl of cereal. I would have taken the bowl and fucking poured it over his goddamn head and smashed it into his hair and punched him right in his fucking gut and said, you're a dick. Give me the fucking cereal. What the hell is your problem? But I never understood that. Now, that was just one of a bunch of these kind of similar cereal ads. Why is it that during the 1980s, no one would let people eat the cereal? It was always like the kids are after the cereal, the animated characters after the cereal, and no one will let anyone eat the fucking cereal. It's cereal. It's fine. It's vitamin fortified. It's delicious. Let them eat the cereal. So I remember there was a one, Trix. The poor Trix rabbit. How many years, how many decades did the Trix Rabbit try to eat the fucking Trix cereal? And all Trix cereal is little fruit-flavored, crunchy corn fucking puff things. And then later on they changed them to actually be the shape of the fruit or whatever. But what is wrong with these kids that are such dicks to the Trix Rabbit? The rabbit's hungry, all right? He's out in the wild. He's probably getting chased by all kinds of fucking predators. He's probably scared shitless. He smells some delicious Trix cereal. He goes up to get it. The kids will literally put it in front of his face. Some of the commercials, the premise of the commercial was to tease the fucking Trix Rabbit and then pull the cereal away from him at the last minute. So here he is. He's in fact, I want the Trix cereal. It's so fucking good. I want it. He's about to get it. Sorry, Rabbit. Tricks are for kids. And they would pull it away and then he would get fucked somehow. Maybe he'd get caught by something. He'd get launched like a rocket. Some shit would happen. The rabbit would end up not getting the Trix. And like, what is wrong with these commercials? Let the rabbit have the goddamn Trix. Why won't you let him eat the cereal? I could see if it was like, I don't know, he wanted to eat a fucking baby back ribs or something. No, a rabbit's not supposed to eat that. But I think that rabbit could eat a little bit of cereal. And other similar ones to that. Lucky Charms. You'll never catch me, Lucky Charms. Where it was the little leprechaun, Lucky, the leprechaun. And his cereal, by the way, Lucky Charms probably was one of the worst cereals at the time because it was incredibly sugar high. It was oats covered in sugar and then fucking giant marshmallow bits. I mean, it had to be terrible for you. But yeah, the premise was that the Lucky Charms was kind of like the treasure at the end of the rainbow, kind of like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And so Lucky would literally hide his pot of gold or his treasure, his cereal, and the kids would chase Lucky. They'd be trying to get the cereal from Lucky and be like, oh, you can't catch me, Lucky Charms, motherfucker. And then later on, they made all the Leprechaun movies, which were basically a parody of that. Like, literally, the Leprechaun movies are, imagine if the Leprechaun did have his pot of gold stolen and he started murdering people to get it back. What if the kids ate the fucking Lucky Charms? Would Lucky all of a sudden go on a homicidal rampage and start chopping their stomachs out? Give me back me Lucky Charms! Rip their stomach right out of their little children's bodies? I mean, Jesus. It was screwed up. What about, oh my God, we gotta talk about this one. This is like the worst offender, right? What about Cocoa Puffs? Oh my God, did anyone ever see the classic Cocoa Puffs ads? I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's drug addiction. The whole line of ads that spanned a decade was about drug addiction. This poor bird, it was the cuckoo bird, loved Cocoa Puffs and was addicted to Cocoa Puffs. He couldn't, whenever he saw them, his whole body like would ooze for desire for the Cocoa Puffs. He would shake. His eyes would go wild with the delight when he saw the Cocoa Puffs. He had to get the fucking Cocoa Puffs. It was like crack in a bowl. So this guy was like addicted. Like it was like imagine if someone's addicted to crack or heroin and they see it and they gotta get it. They gotta do whatever they can. I'll suck a dick to get that fucking crack, man. That's how the commercials were, and it was really fucked up. Like, as a kid watching that, you're like, why is it so intense? Why? Can they like take a step back from this ad campaign for a second to reevaluate the situation? So what it would be, I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and the whole commercial would be trying to get the Cocoa Puffs. Sometimes at the end he would always eat it, and he would go woo and like while out, and you could tell he was like high as balls, and woo, look at my Cocoa Puffs. And like, oh my god, like, and I remember at the time, that those ads were running. I was in grammar school. Well, I call it grammar school. You might call it elementary or primary school or something else. And I believe it was 5th grade, or it might have been earlier than 5th grade. And we had a cop. He was called the DARE cop. Now, for those of you who don't know, DARE in the United States was Drug Abuse Resistance Education. In the 1980s, there was this giant push in the United States to get kids informed about what drugs looked like and to make sure that they did not have any kind of inkling to want to actually take drugs. And I remember this drug cop coming in, this DARE cop, teaching us all about drugs. Oh, you don't want to do that. It's horrible. And then I would go home and turn on the TV, like, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Woo! Eating the Cocoa Puffs and going nuts. I was like, damn, I wonder if that's what it's like to be fucking hopped up on drugs and to be addicted, you know? Because that's a really sick commercial. There's sick fucking commercials, man. I don't know what happened to some of this stuff. Like, just weird shit. I know there's more. Hold on, let me think for a second here. There's some ads that just didn't make any sense. Like, they changed over time, and there's like no explanation as to why. Like, I remember Cookie Crisp. Cookie Crisp, and you would think, Cookie Crisp, what is that? It's cereal of little mini cookies. It's really not cookies. They're made of, like, you know, oat or grain or whatever the hell it is that you eat in your breakfast cereal. And it would have little chocolate pieces. And again, it wasn't real chocolate. It was really like little maybe sugarized pieces or whatever that were on it. And it looked like little mini cookies. And I actually really liked Cookie Crisp. I thought that Cookie Crisp was a delicious cereal. Of course, it's horrible for you, but whatever. The commercials for Cookie Crisp started, okay, with the Cookie Crook. He was this guy. He was dressed like a traditional, stereotypical criminal. You know, white and black striped jumpsuit. He had a mask on, like he's disguising his identity. He had a little hat, and he would grab this big bag of Cookie Crisp, and he would fill it, and he would run around, and there would be the Cookie Cop. The cop would chase him, right? He would chase him. I gotta catch the Cookie Crook who stole the Cookie Crisp. And it was a pretty interesting premise, but, like, if you didn't know that that's what it was about, like, you would be like, you'd buy the Cookie Crisp, you'd be like, why the fuck is there a criminal running away from a cop on this box? If you didn't know that, you know, that was the premise of the commercial, that he'd stolen the Cookie Crisp, you don't make that one-on-one connection between the cookies and a criminal, right? But then I remember, after, like, a few years, he had a mascot, and I remember the mascot was actually a dog. So it was the Cookie Crook and the Cookie Dog, and the Cookie Dog would actually go, Cookie Crisp. Like, that was the catchphrase of the commercial, the Cookie Crisp cereal, blah, 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 Cookie Crisp. And then it was, of course, the cops now trying to catch the criminal and the dog. Okay, that makes sense. He's got an assistant or whatever. But then, it was so weird. Then, they phased out the Cookie Crook. So now it was just the dog. So the dog became the criminal. What happened to the Cookie Crook? Did he finally get arrested? Is he doing, like, life? Is he doing hard labor? Did he get deported? What happened to the Cookie Crook? We never found out what happened to him. He just disappeared from the ads, and it was just the dog, right? And then, and this is when I stopped eating children's cereal, but then they changed it. They got rid of everyone. No cop, no dog, no criminal. There's a wolf now. No explanation. What happened? Why does the wolf want the Cookie Crisp? None. No explanation whatsoever about any of this, right? It was just, it's a wolf now. We're going with a wolf. And like, okay, you do what you want. Really weird. All right, so now let's move out of cereals, and let's actually move on to another topic, snacks for kids, all right? I actually remember back in the day, fruit snacks, for some reason, were huge in the late 80s and early 90s, like fruit snacks for kids. So I'm talking a little bag, a little tin foil, or a little paper bag. You open it up and there'd be flavored fruit gummy things in there for kids. There were millions of them. I remember one of them, Shark Bites. Shark Bites were huge. It was like, there's all different flavors, and then there's the special Great White Shark Bite, and the commercial would have a giant fucking shark. Shark Bites. And there's like, you gotta get the Great White Shark Bite. What does it taste like? You gotta find out by getting the Great White. And sometimes you open it and there would be a Great White Shark in the bag. Sometimes you open it, there would be no Great White in the bag. You're like, you motherfuckers forgot to give me my fucking Great White Shark. It's bullshit. And it was really weird. It was very, very weird. Gushers. I remember Gushers because Gushers were different. Everything up to that point, all these fruit snacks for kids were basically like really hard, chewy flavored snacks. Gushers were smooth. They were soft. They weren't like super hard or chewy. And inside of a Gusher was a actual juice. They claimed it was juice. It wasn't. It was some kind of jelly or something that had like a burst of fruit flavor. And the ads were so weird. The kids would say, have a Gusher. Okay. And you put the Gusher and all of a sudden his eyes, like 3D eyes would go out of his face. Woo! Oh, juice. And you'd be like, what the fuck? What did I just see? Like, I gotta go get Gushers now. And my eyeballs pop out of my fucking head. Those were pretty good. Those are pretty good. I'm trying to think what else. Fruit by the Foot was huge, too. Fruit by the Foot was basically, you never had a traditional fruit roll-up, which is basically just a square of, like, I guess it's made of fruit. They claim it's made of fruit. I don't see how the fuck it's made of. It must be really flattened, processed fruit. But they're different flavors. It's just like a gummy kind of a thing that you would eat and chew at. But then they had Fruit by the Foot, which was a skinny one that went long, and you would roll it out. That's another one. You're just asking for fucking trouble. You know the kids are going to be... You have kids, they take the whole fucking thing off of it and put it in their mouths and go... So you have a big thing, big fruit snack going down to, like, the floor with their mouth going... You know, doing gross shit with that. It was... I don't know. It was a weird time. There's literally... Growing up in that time, the shit that I saw was so odd. Oh, my God. Super Soaker. We got to talk about this one. Super Soaker. The Super Soaker water guns came out during the era of the late 80s and early 90s. Now, before, I want you to understand, get some perspective. Before the Super Soaker line of water toys, basically you had a little crappy, you know, zip style water gun. They were even the bigger ones. They were crappy. They would barely shoot any water. Even if they were motorized, they had batteries or whatever, they go, bam, 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 little splurt. It was like nothing, you know, a little spritz. You know, it's a hot summer day, you spray someone with a little bit of water. It was no big deal. I remember when the Super Soaker came out, I saw that commercial, and I saw, my jaw fucking dropped. Super Soaker was a line of water guns. I don't even know if they still have them. I'd assume that they do. But what they did, they actually had a hydro pump, like a hydraulic pump built into it. And what you would do is you would put water into the canister, right? But you would use this pump to basically build up water pressure and air pressure inside of the water gun. So you go until it wouldn't go anymore. And then when you let loose, that thing was like a fucking fire hose. Like, spray all over you. I remember seeing the commercials, the kids, oh yeah. You know, one kid would have little water guns. He's like, oh, I'm playing. And then he'd turn his head like this, and the kid would spray him right in the fucking face and go, oh, you know, like blow him away. And that was like, if you're a kid, you want that. You know, you want this the water gun that's gonna knock your friend on his ass. You know, that's the one that you would want to get. And I remember I did get one eventually, and it was all right. But unfortunately, what happens if you over pump it, you break it, or if you drop it, you have a chance to break it pretty badly. And once it's broken, it's done. You have to get another one. I remember I had like 2 of them, and one of them I dropped and broke, and I was so depressed because, you know, you only have 1 instead of 2. Now 2 people can't even fairly play with the Super Soakers, because if you have a regular water gun versus a Super Soaker, you're not going to get that guy wet at all. So, what else? I'm just trying to think. There's just so much. The thing is, oh, you know what? I totally forgot I brought a bunch up here. I brought a bunch up here to reference, and then I never actually talked about it. I'm an idiot. Hold on. Here's some funny ones. Hold on. Oh, this one's still more breakfast cereals. Oh, they had the weirdest breakfast cereals in the 1980s that were all tie-ins to whatever was popular at the time. They actually had a Ghostbusters breakfast cereal when the movie was popular that looked like little red ghost skulls. I couldn't tell if they were supposed to be like bloody flesh lumps. It's really weird. You got to check that one out too. Look for that online. The Ghostbusters, because the cereal just doesn't look appetizing at all. It looks fucking disgusting. Like, who would want to eat that? Oh, crispy critters. Wow. All right, we got to talk about this. Want to talk about a disturbing fucking commercial. Crispy critters, right? So there's a kid, he's sitting down to eat his breakfast, and he's eating this was called crispy critters. Now, first of all, just think about this. Crispy critters. Does it sound like you found bugs, or you found like little animals and you put them in a bowl and you're crunching them? You're crunching through them brutally, bones cracking or whatever. That's what I envision when you say crispy critters. The actual truth of the matter is I'm not too far off. Crispy critters was basically little animal shapes that were made out of like crunchy breakfast cereal material. And you would just put more, you would just pour cereal, and it would be very crunchy. You go hum hum hum, and you're supposed to simulate you're eating like little animals. And the commercials were fucking weird. It was like these fucking 3D almost animals were jumping on the table, the breakfast table. Hi, Billy. Oh, have crispy critters. And the song was like, crispy critters, a good wholesome bunch. Bum bum bum. You eat the critters and have some breakfast or some shit. But it was just like, you're eating live animals. Like, they're alive. That was the premise. You're supposed to, like, pretend like you're eating live animals in your cereal bowl. And I had those a few times. I didn't have them too many, but they were fucking weird, dude. Those commercials were absolutely weird. Like, yeah, exactly. Someone in the chat just said, how could PETA allow that? I don't know. It was fucking weird. It was creepy shit. Trust me, it was creepy. Oh, no. Nerds cereal. You ever had Nerds? Well, they had Nerds cereal, where the cereal had the artificial flavoring of, like, the super sour sweet powder. Ugh. That's disgusting. I never had that. I did have Pac-Man cereal. They had a lot of video game-related cereals in the 80s. I remember they had a Nintendo cereal where the kids... That was a weird one. The kids had TVs for heads. And they're like, work Nintendo in the morning. And a big TV attached to where their head's supposed to be, showing like Super Mario. And they'd be eating Nintendo cereal, putting like Mario-shaped pieces into the fucking TV, shoveling it in. Ugh. They had anything was a breakfast cereal tie-in in the 80s. Seriously, like, look, I'm looking at it. They had the Smurfs, they had Strawberry Shortcake. They had fucking Mr. T cereal. I never had that. Mr. T cereal. I missed out. I definitely missed out. Alright, I'm getting to the end here, the nitty-gritty. I just want to see, I have another page open here. I want to see if anything jumps out. There's Cookie Crisp. That's on there, which I already mentioned. Nothing really, jumping out. Cheerios was kind of one of the normal ones, where I remember it would be like, you want some breakfast in the morning, and the little bee would come out, and if it was like Honey Nut Cheerios, he'd give you a little touch of honey and nut taste on your Cheerios. That was one of the cuter ones, and it was innocent, and there wasn't some weird shit going on in it. Cheerios always kind of had stand-up, commercials that weren't just odd as hell. What else do we got here? Captain Crunch. I don't remember anything too weird about Captain Crunch. I remember he would always be like off on voyages to get cereal or something. Jello. There's always room for Jello. Or the weird ones with Bill Cosby during the 80s. He would always have the creepiest fucking like camera angle. So Bill Cosby was big into Jello in the 80s. Like, he was the spokesperson for Jello, and he was huge during the 80s because he had a sitcom going on, The Cosby Show. So he'd be like, there's always room for Jello. And then pudding. The pudding was the big one with him. He would have a cup, and this would be the camera angle. I shit you not. He'd be like, in your face. I'll pretend that this microphone is the Jello pudding. He'd be like this in the camera, okay? Like, and then the pudding would come up from underneath like this. And he'd go, oh, Jello pudding. And he'd take a spoon and go, oh, It was gross. I don't want to see Bill Cosby, like, up in the fucking camera eating Jello pudding. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Oh, yeah, and Jello Puddin' Pops. Remember those Puddin' Pops? The frozen Jello pudding? They don't have those anymore. All right, I think we're winding down at this point. I don't think that there's too much. Oh! All right. You got to check out. I can't tell you, but you got to check out the Twizzlers commercials from the 80s where it was just a mouth. I guess what they did is they used green screen technology or blue screen, whatever it was back then, and they covered someone's entire body so you couldn't see it. Just a fucking woman's mouth, red lips and a mouth and teeth, and Twizzler would fly magically up into the mouth and go, Twizzlers, makes mouths happy. And it would be so weird, like just a floating mouth. I see a few here, Starburst, Big League Chew. None of those really jumped out at me at the time. 7-Up, nah, they never really had, like, I already talked about, like, Juicy Fruit and stuff like that. Those are the really weird ones back then, man. Fucking weird. Oh, they had the California Raisins. How could I forget the California Raisins, right? California Raisins were such a sensation because What it really was an advertisement to buy raisins from California State in the United States. And they were called California raisins. They didn't taste any different than raisins that weren't from fucking California. But for some reason, California raisins, it was like the brand of raisins. And the reason that they caught on is because of the commercials were claymation raisins. Like a raisin with arms, legs, and a fucking face. And they'd come out singing like classic rock and like doo-wop songs. And it was hilarious. They made an album and it fucking went like platinum. It sold. Everyone got the album of the California Raisins. At one point they even had the California Raisins Claymation Christmas special. What? It's a fucking raisin. It's a shriveled grape. It's a fucking raisin. Why did this catch on in the 1980s? I have no idea. Claymation raisins. Weird shit. Weird. I remember the York Peppermint Patty commercials. So York Peppermint Patty is a mint patty surrounded by dark chocolate. And they would have you get the cold, refreshing bite of a York Peppermint Patty. And, okay, and they'd bite it, and all of a sudden the entire body would be like completely covered in ice. You go, oh, it's good. Like, yeah, you just froze yourself. Yeah, it's so good. I think that's going to pretty much be it. I'm looking here, and I'm not really seeing much. The only other one that really jumps out at me that I absolutely remember the jingle more than, and actually I liked the jingle more than the candy. I actually didn't like the candy, but I liked the jingle, was Almond Joy and Mounds. There you go. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts, Mounds don't. And that was the whole kind of ad, and there's have different people. One guy likes the nuts, and one guy doesn't. Like, well, we know what your predisposition is, sir. Go have your nuts, and you enjoy your nutless candy bar. So that was pretty good. That was pretty, I remember that. That was another catchy tune that because of the tune, it really caught on to you and, it was a hook. You always wanted to get the Almond Joy of the Mounds. Like, no, I didn't like it. I thought that I didn't like it was too much coconut for me. Coconut, I could eat in small amounts, but I couldn't eat a giant bar of coconut. It was too much, so. Oh, of course, all right, we'll do the last one. We gotta do the last one. Has to be the Kool-Aid Man. I don't know what they were fucking thinking, but it worked. It caught on. The Kool-Aid Man in the 80s and 90s. The kids who wanted to drink Kool-Aid, right? Or they'd be like, oh, we're so thirsty after this, this sport that we just did. We were skateboarding and we're tired and we wish we had some refreshing beverage right now. And all of a sudden the brick wall would explode. It was like bricks flying everywhere. Boom, smoke. And this giant fucking pitcher, a human pitcher hybrid would come out of the wall and go, oh yeah! And you'd have Kool-Aid with him and give the kids the Kool-Aid and they go, yeah, baby, yeah! And then they immediately get on a sugar high. They're like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, let's go fucking rob a store, yeah! And it was weird. He would come out of the weirdest places, burst through, oh yeah! Like, whoa! But it worked. It was weird, it was wild, but back then that shit worked. Like, imagine today, right? Here's a commercial. Oh, man. I could really go for a snack right now. Really, serious. I'm so hungry. And all of a sudden, a wall explodes, and there's a potato holding a bag of Ruffles potato chips. Oh, I have some Ruffles! And people are like, what the fuck did I just see? But that's the equivalent of what it was. It was just like weird shit bursting through a wall. Giant, weird character. Oh, yeah! Weird stuff, man. Weird stuff. So, all right. After two... I'm all worked up. After two sessions of this, I think I'm all advertisemented out. I think that we've gone through enough advertisements that I don't think that I could possibly do another episode of this unless I do some more research and I find some more that I remember. But those were the days, man, because that was the day when you could just sit there and the whole day's advertisement was catered towards a kid, especially when there were the blocks of like Saturday morning cartoons. That was when they would have all these ads running, and it was just a weird experience to see some of the stuff that they advertised to kids. Like, oh, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, don't do drugs, kids, but eat the fucking cereal. I don't know. All right. Phew. All right. So that's about it, everyone, for Hate Live for tonight, November 6, 2014. I want to thank you guys, whether you watched live on Twitch TV or whether you're watching this on YouTube, at your leisure. I definitely appreciate it. Again, Let me know what you think. The big thing of feedback that I want this time around, let me know what you think about me possibly playing Grand Theft Auto 5 again in the first person, if you think you would find that interesting and if it's worth it, or if you're like, I already saw Phil play that, I'm not going to watch him play the whole game again. Let me know in the comments of the video and also on Twitter. I definitely would like to hear your feedback, okay? Just a reminder, no hate live next week. Just a reminder, no hate live till next month. Because next 2 weeks, I'm going to be so busy with tons of game releases. End of the month for Thanksgiving special, I'm doing Ask the King. So no hate live returning until possibly next month, okay? And I'll see what I can do about possibly getting, special guests from time to time. Like I said, I really would like to have John Rambo on at some point to catch up. We're going to have a nice, fun discussion about what we've both been up to, what our lives have been like. But we got to have our schedules coincide, and this week he was just so busy. He didn't even do his own show, so obviously I can't hold it against him if he's not doing his own stuff to drop everything in his schedule to come onto my show. So, all right, that is it, everyone. I hope that you guys enjoyed Hate Live. Told you it might have been I told the people on the street pre-stream it may be a little bit of a shorter show this week, but thanks for being here. I'll see you in about a month's time for the next Hate Live. I hope that you will be joining me for all of this new gameplay that will be coming out over the next several weeks. It's going to be Gaming Overload. I'm super pumped and excited to be in the midst of it. I hope that you will join me for it. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Peace out. Have a good night. I'm DSP, signing off. See you later. Arrivederci, and one last thing. Snap it to a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah. That Macho Man ad was too good. All right, very nice. Oops. That's not the... Get that out of here. That's the wrong... There we go. Later, everybody.